Good morning on this clouded over, not sure what the weather's like kind of day. It's Louise
And Melanie
here at Miracles and Wonders Down Under. And Anne said we were going to inspire you today. So we must do as our fearless creating calm network leader has implied we will do. Step up to the plate and inspire you. Not that we're going to play baseball or anything, but we have been having some wonderful inspiration. We have been listening to the Transformational Authors Experience with Christine Closer, whose husband has written a book about baseball. You'll be happy to know, which has nothing to do with anything to do with the Transformational Authors Workshop. But I'm sure if you like baseball, you know where to go now to find that book, David Closer. But if you are the kind of person who is interested in writing, as am I, as is Mel, the Transformational Authors Experience is full of different people's perspectives on what it takes to get yourself published. And what's been the thing that's been most interesting for you out of being a part of that experience, Malinsky?
Most interesting thing.
I'm not going to hold you to the question with a gun. You can answer it any way you want. It could be the most challenging, the most inspiring, the most insightful, the most...
I don't know. I don't really have a summary. I just listen to the speeches. I guess I'm listening to that and Harrison Klein and Unbounded Potential and a few other things, which also have a series, the Hay House thing as well. So I'm listening to a series of speakers all talk about what they do, how they do it, how they teach other people to do it, where they learnt it.
And would you say the thing that links all those webinars, all those series together is human potential, or is there something that links them? Are they all about transformation, or are they
I think the thread... I don't know, I guess the thread that I see, because that's what I'm looking for, is where each speaker is tuned into their own message, to their own soul, to their own purpose, rather than sharing some idea of how that affects the world. But that's because that's what I'm looking for. There may be another thread. If someone else listened to all of those speakers, they may see something else that connects them all.
So it's more about that they're on purpose and they're sharing their message around the area that's there.
And if they are or not, because that's what I'm listening for. That's what I'm listening for. I'm listening for the energy that tells me when they are connected to it and where they've disconnected to it. So part of the conversation will go into something and it will drop. And I won't even be able to hear what they're saying. But then it will go back to what their message is, and then I tune right in.
So watch out, people. This is not a test, but Mel is tuning into your energy, and if we drop, she'll be on to us, processing us in a flash. So
yeah, no, I just think it's interesting. And I think it's interesting because I'm just taking it all in for me. I'm taking it in to where do I want to speak, even on this show. You know, we know that it's what we're tuned into that's echoed in what's being experienced in a broader community, but somewhere, even how you frame that, whether that's a question or, you know, however we have this discussion with each other, it can easily disconnect from what it is that we're connected to and, you know, attempting to have a broader conversation about. So for me, when I listen to all of those people do it in all different ways with different interviewers, and you know, some of them are on video and some of them are just sound, and you get a clearer sense of how easy it is. And there's nothing wrong with going off on a rant. I don't think there's any, like, even when those people go into those areas, it's not like I have a reaction and I go, yo, I'm telling lies. you just feel that that's part of some other part of their experience that's not connected to their message. So what does that mean? Like somewhere in there, even them talking about that stuff is going to connect to someone, but I can't hear their soul in it. So it's still going to be important on some layer of reality. It's just that that's not the part I'm connected to. So it is interesting to know that you have permission to talk into layers other than the soul level. I think that's the self-reflection that comes from listening to all those people. And that if I do get a reaction, if someone says something that makes me go like that, then I know there's stuff yet to be integrated. So I just go, okay, that's good, thank you for that. And I stop the recording and I go off and have a little session with myself and figure out what it is, what my reaction is. You know, what pearl of wisdom was waiting underneath that trigger. So I guess it's like free therapy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems endless. It seems like there's endless free therapy available.
And on that point, as is life at the moment, I think a lot of people are jumping into life and feeling like that wherever they go, they're up against cleaning things out. Feels like, you know, it doesn't matter if you're a teacher at school or taking the kids to school, or I don't know why I always use the taking the kids to school example because I don't have kids, but
it's right on the
it's right on
front of your awareness.
It's right.
Well, it must
on
be
my
someone,
awareness.
you know, people that we're talking to. Hello.
Well, I guess that's just my area of passion is to see kids be free, is to see kids be able to express themselves. And I feel like we're all a part of the environment that either allows that or does not allow that. And I feel like mothers, you know, and many fathers these days as well, but generally mothers, you know, if you're at the school, there's a lot more mothers dropping off than fathers. There's still a lot of fathers now. But, yeah, they bear a fair responsibility for that, for making that flow in the morning easy to get them to the place where they have to be for 6 hours. So, and it sets the scene for the Mother's Day and any other children who've got to come home with the mother. It does set quite a scene for the day. And, you know, so many people then have to go to work as well. So, you know, that getting ready in the morning. And we've been talking a lot about transitions because we are working with some little tackers at the moment. And, you know, they are going from one environment to another, and that's part of their challenge is in the in-between times. And I think a lot of us, part of our challenge is in the in-between time when the energy changes, when we've got to change our way of coming up against different energy. So, yeah, interesting. And me and Mel have been talking about the format to the show because we want to make sure that you know what's coming up in the show and that you feel like, oh, yeah, I know there's something I want to hear at the end, just like all the other people do so that it works. But then we're like, we never know where it's going. We just know what we have set this up for, which is, as Mel said before, to be able to explore the processes we're having at a deeper level, knowing that they are reflecting what's occurring for other people as well. You know, maybe our reality in life or whatever does not look like yours, but there'll be something in the essence of what we're processing or moving through that isn't either an indicator for you or is an opportunity for you to move with us. So we've been talking about that quite a bit this week. And when I typed up the little thing about being stuck in an emotion, this is your potion. Yeah. I guess how a lot of the other work we've been working on for ourselves is around giving people permission to be powerful and stepping in further to where we can be powerful.
And I think there are lots of terms bandied around, like authentic. And I wonder how helpful that is sometimes, because it's not that the term is inaccurate, but I think it says this whole bubble of meaning that we attach to what that is. And there is this sense that being authentic means that you are consistent, that whatever you are in one moment represents you for all of eternity. So that if you happen to have, a recorded moment of your life, that somehow there's and even a sense of extrapolating worth from some very small moment of what's visibly available. I feel like that, or if you really want to get in contact with authenticity, I don't think that that's helpful. It feels like it's much more than what's available visibly. It's much more than what's available in a photograph or a blog or a TV show or even a book. Even if you wrote a whole book, I'm not sure that you could say, that's all of me in there and you can understand exactly who I am and understand how much I'm worth. I feel like we sell ourselves short when we get into this, as a community, this idea of authenticity, because it is a big theme for teachers and practitioners and parents and anyone who's making material.
Bring me back to that. This is related, but it's kind of tangential, but like I get that sense of, sometimes, like yesterday I had an extreme release, like I was just in my stuff just going, why, I hate this, I hate it that it's like this, and da-da-da-da-da. And there is almost this sense that you wake up the next morning and go, oh, what do I have to do to troubleshoot that, or to, like what residues left from that with other people, how do I know, is there a mess to clean up from that expression? Will people be thinking, I hope she's all right today? Like that sense of that. And we get it with the kids as well, because the kids have it even more tight in the sense that it's like if they have a blowout, it's like, oh, is he ADHD? We better medicate him. Well, I know that kid, he's the problem kid. Like in school particularly, it feels like there's such a desire to care for those kids, and it's gone wonky. Something's gone wonky, because then it's like they're diagnosed, they're stuck in the box, and it is like we expect him to act out. And everyone's waiting for him to act out. And that kid gets up in the morning and thinks, oh, here we go again. I was listening to an Esther Hicks thing off the Hay House stuff last night, and, she was just talking about, or Abraham was talking about the reset button, like every morning, get up and press your reset button. It's like new day, new start, let's go. You don't have to, anywhere where you weren't in your soul, you don't have to engage it. And she was being interviewed by Wayne Dyer. It was a really beautiful interview, and both of them, obviously Esther's had Jerry pass away and Wayne Dyer had his mother pass away, and he was talking about his mother and saying, can she, is she aware of me, is she in my sphere of influence, I guess. I mean, he wasn't quite saying it like that, and Abraham was like, yes, but you may not recognize her because she's dropped all the crap.
Yeah.
All the patterns and all the, she was like this and she was like that. Wasn't she kind? Wasn't she authentic? It's she's none of those things anymore. She's full, whatever you want to call it, soul, spirit, whatever. She's dropped all the human trappings. She will not look like dear old granny who cared for you all your life. Yeah. She's going to be in a different energetic when she's dropped all that humaneness.
Idiosyncrasies.
And then the other thing that, while you were talking, I thought of was, I was also thinking about gratitude journals last night, and I love them because I think they're useful. I think it's useful to stay in the positive energy, and I do think it's important that we celebrate the things that we love in our life. But I was thinking about it too, where, we're still in that area of not competition, but right and wrong. And, at the end of the day, sitting down and writing your gratitude journal, being sure that you're in the feeling, or the feeling of the energetic. I don't even know what it is, but I just had a thing last night about...
to tell your story as the hero? Is it something else?
I don't even know if it's to tell your story as a hero, because I was thinking, I was about to write my gratitude journal, and then I started thinking about, and if you don't know what a gratitude journal is, it's a beautiful tool. At different times, it can be really useful. And it kind of comes from the law of attraction stuff quite often, where it's saying you want the energy that you want to create. You want to be in that alignment with that feeling. So each night you sit down and you write out the moments of the day where you have felt like you're in an energy you want more of, basically. You don't want more of it, you just want to be in it. And by being in it, you will magnetize it. So you are, there's that intention there to create more of, but there's also the outcome of being in the energy again. So the energy is good energy. It's the energy you
that's interesting
want.
because
so you're in that right and wrong area again.
That's funny because, can I just say that's interesting?
Well, it's a slippery slope.
Because my gratitudes are the things that gave me the greatest insight, and they're not necessarily the energies that were the most comfortable. So when I use my gratitude journal, I will say, this conversation today gave me an insight about one of the triggers that I have, and I went into an exploration of where that came from, and now my universe is even larger. My gratitudes come from the insights that I have. I just think that's very interesting.
And it's important not to make it right and wrong, because I think it is to go in there, and it is powerful each night to sit down and play with your life, to reflect on your day, to recognise what occurred for you and recognise how you responded to it. And sometimes just that, sheer exercise of finding the moments of magic is incredibly powerful, because you suddenly start to recognise either you're having a lot of moments of magic that you've been skimming over, or you recognise that the moments of magic are not in the things you're waiting for. They are in the things that are already occurring, and it might just be the bird flying over that takes you into the zone, that brings you back to what is real, out of your head, out of your worries, out of your fears and goals and concerns.
Future and the past.
Yeah, and it is the stuff where you are just right there in the moment, relaxed and free, seeing something, going to the kids, oh, look at that dog, isn't it beautiful? Yeah, and everyone in the car's like, woo, look at the dog, isn't it cute? Yeah, everyone's happy, or, happy, whatever, but everyone's having their own experience connected to something that's occurring right there, right then, and it's just what it is. There's no right or wrong on it. Yeah, but then I just thought, oh, that's so interesting, because even that process of journaling can then become the thing that locks you in to trying to find the right moments, so even the tools that we use once to move with someone new, unless they're fluid and adapting and coming from a new inspiration or a new kind of synchronicity every day, it feels like they'll just become the thing that locks us into the next box we're making for ourselves. It feels like we've become masters of making boxes somehow. So just that, I want to know how that relates to what you were saying before. Can you tell me what you were saying before?
Which one? My gratitudes or the authenticity?
No, the authenticity. Yeah, the authenticity stuff. Because I'm just interested in where those two kinds of things relate into the authenticity, because they came up while you were talking. And it is that sense of...
Well, that just... The minimal concept that people attach to the term only involves what is visible. It only involves a very small amount of information.
And I guess even in that sense of waking up and going, oh, I've got to go to school and face, or I've got to go to work and face, I've got to see my husband in the morning in the kitchen and I cracked the shits at him last night and I've got to mop up, That sense of mopping up is authentic somewhere, because you are responding to a reaction you've had previously and you've woken up with another reaction. Like, there is somewhere to go where it is, why do I have these reactions? Not why do I have these reactions, but, oh, that's interesting, I'm having another reaction. Where does my mind go that I keep hold of that illusion? If we are talking about that, a lot of those reactions are things to be in the flow of and let go. I guess, I don't know, just around authenticity, because you can, ad infinitum, look at the layers of what's going on. And see about what does authentic mean.
Well, I'm not sure that you can be inauthentic. I don't know. I mean, that's why I'm not a very big fan of the term. I'm not sure how it's helpful.
Tell us more about that, about there not being any inauthentic. I mean, because I think a lot of us are looking, we've moved on from things being right and wrong a little bit, but we've gone more into this spiritual lingo of, we must be authentic, we must, we put ourselves on some pedestal of our own in some way that we expect ourselves to, and particularly when you have had a powerful journey through distress, and you've had a major kind of, I guess, you feel like you've had a win in life where you've come through a situation that felt like rubbish for you, and you've come out the other side feeling good about yourself. Like there is that sense that you want to stay. It's nice to feel good. It's exciting to feel like you're having some wins in life and that there's a flow and it's all going well. Like it would be nice to think, oh, if I could just stay authentic, la 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 la. Because you do get that sense sometimes, listening to people who've, as transformational people who've been through transformations. It feels like, to a lot of people watching, it does feel like, oh, they're on the other side of that. Now they're on some plane where, everything's going very nicely and, their life is different. I mean, someone was just talking about this yesterday too on the transformational author's experience.
And what was their trick? How did they?
Oh, they didn't. They were basically saying, even though their story is, yes, I came out the other side and I can see how I can help other people make transitions and da-da-da-da-da, they were still saying, I'm just walking with the rest of you. I'm here having my journey still. My journey's got ups and downs in the road. There's road bumps, But it is, I mean, I just find it interesting that we are wanting to flatline somewhere. Kind of, like it is. It's a real strong desire to be okay. I was thinking about, it's been years now since those books came out, like I'm okay, you're okay. It's like, it feels like, from the 70s or whatever, there was a sense that we could find a utopia, or the 60s or whatever, from those, we're going to jump out of this culture and we're going to find a utopian culture where everyone's free. And that we've all got some kind of version in our heads of what free would look like, and mostly it looks like we're not losing the plot, we're not crying, we're not unhappy, we're not angry at people who we care about, we're in some other place. I mean, you look at any of our movies, they all kind of point to that. They all point to coming to some place where you're happy ever after. Well, not happy ever after, but, there's a sense that you emotionally adjust to a new kind of way of operating in the world where everything is okay.
So I think that's about 10 different conversations. But yeah, well, I guess if you're looking for a plateau, the first thing that comes into my mind is, well, then become a Buddhist. That's the only thing I can think of that allows you to have a plateau. But then you have to be disconnected. You're no longer having a human experience. You are self-effacing, and you are in deprivation, and you are awaiting release from a prison. It's the only, that's the only experience I can think of where there is a plateau.
And I think
it's possible.
You
can't have it.
And I think we're all blessed, and those practices have their place for people. Some people really do thrive under those kind of conditions. And it is a real, for them, in their lives, a real upset. I was just talking to someone about this the other day, having done a lot of Vipassana meditation, which is 10 days of silence, and it is very austere. I think that's the right word. No sense pleasures kind of thing. And you know, I was just talking about where it was an amazing opportunity for me to clean out some of the more grosser addictions of my life. But then I still, you know, on that path, I still, even though, you know, Buddha's thing is let things be as they are, I still wanted to be a good spiritual being, and the rules were don't do this, don't do that, do this. And I took them as at face value and went, well, to be a good Vipassana meditator, I must do it this way. And that means not having harsh words with your partner, which means not talking about how you're really feeling, which means suppressing things, which means, you know, like, so for me, at some point, that became the prison again. It was freeing at them, you know, it was a tool that brought me great freedom. But then somehow my mind got hold of it and it became the prison, became the box. So I am, you know, and I think we wrote last week about this show that it was about finding a place where you make the rules. I guess most of those experiences I've talked about this morning were places where I took people's ideas and rules from outside and imposed them on myself and wanted to live up to those expectations, or, for, you know, it's not even live up to those expectations, but follow that path to its zenith, if you like, to see if there was anything there, to see if happiness was at the end of the path. Because it is like, you know, my whole life's been this search for happiness, going, when I grow up I want to be happy. I don't want anything else. I don't want any of this other rubbish. I just want to be happy. I don't care what it looks like. It doesn't have to look like a house and a car and whatever. I just want, I don't think happiness is in that. I haven't seen anyone with those things that's happy. And I'd like to find happiness on the journey. So even in that, you know, there's a sense that there's not happiness in sadness, there's not happiness in anger, there's not happiness in any of those negative emotions. And especially in madness too, I think, I just feel like there's a lot of madness kicking around. And I guess madness is just unexpressed anger. In a lot of cases, a lot of madness is just where people cannot say how they really feel. So I just feel like there's a lot of madness just under the surface where people would love to have a bloody big rant and get it off their chest. Tuning into something more.
I'm just wondering if you mean madness as in insanity or madness as in being mad.
Yeah, I mean madness as in insanity. I just get this sense where madness as in insanity is just a sense of not feeling like you can express yourself anywhere. Like that feeling of, oh, if I say anything, I'll be put in the box. I can't. You know, like it is.
Well, it's the step after distress.
You know, it's winding up inside. Like it's a complete wind up.
Stress, distress, and then what you want to call madness.
And so I'm just wondering, you know, even in that, like you have a message. Where's the place where you make the rules and be okay when others' viewpoint is different to yours? You know, like just that, to let the steam off that kettle. Because it feels like a lot of us are looking around and going, this place is mad. There's, you know, it's mad. What are we doing to the environment? What is our political systems doing? What are our work ethics like?
But I just find my point of connection. So, like, you know, I have my personal idea of how the world works, and it allows me, it really allows me to have full control and no control. So it says that any emotion that I have is either passing through me or is a message for me. So whether it's, you know, a reaction to a word or a reaction to a situation, it's something for me to become aware of. The only two things I need are self-awareness and self-acceptance. They're the only two things that I need. They're the only two things that I consciously focus on. Self-awareness and self-acceptance. But the thing that allows me to be in any situation is those two things. So I find my point of connection. my point of connection in this moment with you, my point of connection in a room that I can't physically be in. And if I go in there and go, no, this is not for me, and I come out, I know that it's part of one of those two things, self-awareness or self-acceptance.
And even though Mel says she only does self-awareness and self-reflection, acceptance.
Yeah.
You know, she's had a long journey as well, unpicking. And I know it's still self-acceptance, but it is a different, you know, like it's on the edge of madness when you are trying to work out what's yours and what's not. If you're an empath, or if you're someone who engages the sensory world in a different, you know, everyone's on such different parts of the spectrum around how they take in the rest of the world and feelings of other people and the electrochemical, whatever, all the different levels of energy that are going on around us. I think, you know, many people are on different places on the path of what self-awareness means to them.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, like no matter what word you use, because I search and search and search and search, and I just sometimes I think, well, I just need to make one up, because all of the words that exist are already loaded. People have already got some sense of what that means for them. So maybe it is for me to come up for two words that aren't in the dictionary, that can't necessarily be attached to something else.
I think that's also in the conversation when people get clarity for what their own rules are. You know, like it's in the conversation, listening to the difference between how I process some things and then Mel comes in and processes quite differently. I feel like there is a real sense of people being able to watch that. They then find a place for their own distinctions about, you know, if it was just me sitting here going on a rant and being entertaining or whatever it is I do, you know, people would either match it or walk away from it. And if it was just Mel sitting here, they'd, you know, either start going, oh, yes, she's right, I can see where that works like that, you know. So they would start engaging her in one way, but because there's two of us here and we're operating quite differently, it then gives you a space to step out and go, well, what is it I do?
Yeah.
It doesn't, you don't so quickly match or disagree, or, you know, you have a new space created for you to then make your own rules about. But it's not even make your own rules, it is just understand how you operate. But with that, there is a definite need. Something about take it or leave it. Because it is not every day that you come into a room in that way. It is not every day that you engage the universe from your empath reality. Or whatever it is, you know, we all have our days where we're under the weather or we're out having and enjoying, you know, going for a bike ride, whatever it is, you know, but we're on a mission to do something. That means then we shut down certain parts of what's become our normal way of operating so that we can get on with the day.
Tell me more. Because one of the I'll say why, because I know for me, one of the things I had to come to terms with, despite going to several people who seem to be able to deal with the gifts that I have, which is feeling things, seeing other people's memories, feeling other people's fears, anxieties, guilt, all of that stuff. One of the things I had to come to terms with was, despite the fact that a lot of people who do energy work, they can put a shield around themselves or they can choose to close the door. I came in choosing not to be able to do that. I came in not able to filter what comes towards me. But I came in because obviously I'm capable of processing it, and it's part of my job. But I don't think that's necessarily, like most energy workers that I've met will say, oh yeah, you can just put up the golden sphere, or you can just close the door, or you can do whatever. And whenever I've practiced those things, I've had a very obvious visitation from a being that just said, unfortunately, this is what you have chosen, and it's necessary for your mission not to be able to filter what's coming towards you. So there are other things But that's on the energetic level, and I'm not sure that's the same thing that you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about different people do it on all different levels.
Yeah.
Some people have that ability.
Yeah.
Some people have the ability to, as Mel said the other day, you know, like walk through the space and people are not there for her. They're just part of the environment. Whereas for me, everyone's there all the time. People are their energy is for me to monitor all the time. Not monitor, but it does kind of feel like that. Somewhere I'm monitoring everyone's energy. Yeah. And I can't turn off to people. There's no way. If there's a person there, I'm involved with them somehow. I feel like I'm having an energetic interaction with them.
Yeah.
Whereas for Mel, that part she doesn't have to have turned on. So I think we all, you know, that is the thing. We all have learned our different...
Those messages aren't necessary.
Opportunities.
Unless it's part of my job, that part of reality is not on.
Yeah, so at some level, you know, whether it's turning off or whether it's just not being on, there is a sense that we all have different information to take in. We all have different opportunities to experience different feelings for different reasons.
But you can't change it. It's not like you can change it because you're going to school, or you can change it because you're going into the theme park. It doesn't. You get the information that you're meant to get. There's no changing what you're attuned to.
Although at the moment on the planet, it feels like everyone is jumping around. Like even that thing about being authentic. You know, it is kind of jumping around and going, oh, I've got to be authentic. I've got to present myself properly. I'm on the radio. If I fucking lose it now, people are going to know that I'm not authentic because I'm off on some tangent and you know, and you know, there's this sense that you could unwind into something that's not you. I'm not saying it's true, but I get the feeling that people are, you know, we're all caught. There's something going on. You know, this is just my personal palaver, is about unhooking from something that we are caught in the way we view our experience here. And, you know, we've probably all got different things to unhook from. But so that we can be true to what our experience is within our feelings. Because I feel like we're not, the majority of people are not taking cues from their own feelings.
Yeah. So
from their own...
Is that about authenticity being connected to being calm and resilient and, you know, another word, eloquent and worthwhile? Is that what you mean when you say people aren't able to tap into, because if the barrier is this, I need to be authentic, then does authentic also get tangled in those assessments?
Well, it gets tangled in everything. I mean, for me yesterday, I feel like it was tangled in winning the game. You know, like it was still tangled in winning the game. In me wanting to look like I've got enough money to pay my rent. I've got enough, I don't know, you know, money to look after myself when I'm old and sick. I've got enough nous to be able to engage this world without getting upset about the state of it. You know, I've got enough resilience, whatever it takes, to be able to go out there and engage other people in all kinds of circumstances and situations and be all right with the fact that they let themselves be in those circumstances and situations. You know, that it's not my job to make sure every kid in school feels free to express themselves, but it is my job somewhere. Like I feel like there's some line between that, you know, like between being able to go in with your purpose with full passion, full excitement, full reaction and full everything, full on, but also to not overstep that line of responsibility.
But when you say that, when you say somewhere, I know it's not my job, but then it is, the first thing that comes in is a very bright spark, and it says, yeah, because on some level there is something that you bring in on the planet that it will allow children to experience that. So it may not be in that direct situation, but when you're in that direct situation, the message is that is your purpose. Yeah, so I think it is not to get caught up in the guilt of that.
No, not the guilt of that, but not to get caught up in appearances. You know, not to get caught up in appearances just because you go to school one day. You know, this is particularly for teachers. You know, you go to school one day and you just feel like, I didn't help little Johnny at all. He's bouncing off the walls. I talked down to him. I put him in his box again. Oh, what am I going to do with that kid? And, you know, you feel like, well, I haven't made any headway in that area. You know, and this goes for anyone in any area. You know, you all have a kind of a, well, many people have a glimmer of where they think their areas are. And lots of people are already in those areas wanting to make a difference. You know, but that might not be where your job plays out. Maybe your job plays out with the kids you took to the trampolining the other day, you know, or maybe your job plays out with your own kids at home. You know, maybe your job plays out, you know, with the kids you meet down the beach while you're going for your morning walk while everyone else is asleep. You know, like you just don't know where your job's really playing out, or, you know, where your energy is really rippling to.
And it may even be even further afield. It may be the relationship between child and parent, or parent and inner child. It may be in a place that you had never even considered because it comes so naturally to you. It's not something that you think about. It's not something that you try and do. It's something that your presence naturally allows to unfold.
It's funny too, that sense of, you know, if you've had a shitty day with one kid or a shitty year, because I know there's some teachers out there who have shitty years with one kid who just won't play, you know, and it's really hard. It's like, please sit down now. I need to put some attention on the rest of the class. You may be the catalyst for him leaving school and going, oh, that teacher was terrible to me. I'm going to be a good teacher. And, you know, he comes through and decides he wants to be a teacher. He sets spirits free and off he goes into the world. He starts a new school system because he felt like his experience of school was so restrictive.
Yeah.
Like, and that may be your role to play in setting up a, you know, if that's your area, whatever it is. But
and I think
feel like it could be your area.
That works on the opposite as well. And I think that's where there is a sense that if we're always looking for positive experiences, we miss that our greatest teachers are the ones that inspire us to action. And if you are only inspired by someone pissing you off, then chances are your greatest teachers have been the people that you can't stand. So even in that, I mean, it works both ways. It works, you may be the model for someone who is inspired to action in a way that is beyond your comprehension, and you can't take credit for it. It's not like you can stand there and say, well, I was the catalyst for that. I mean, somewhere it is just you just being yourself. You are the model for things happening in other people's lives. And I think that comes back to that authenticity thing. It's like, how do I make sure that I'm the model? How do I make sure that I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing? And I think somewhere it's almost impossible not to be authentic. I'm not sure that we're capable. I know that we get into resonant spaces where things feel bigger or things feel buzzier or lighter or simpler, but I don't think that that makes us more or less authentic. Because all of that, for me, all of that judgment on top takes away from the experience. Because in those moments that you're feeling, I have no idea what's going on at the moment, I have no idea if I'm doing this right, I have no idea if anyone is taking any notice of me or whether I'm meant to be, you know, standing over here or standing over there, in that moment, you are modeling exactly what you need to be modeling. You are having the experience that you're meant to be having. It's when this layer of judgment comes over it that it feels that you get trapped. But in the uncertainty to begin with, I mean, that's just an experience. You're just embodying your experience. I'm not getting any signals, I'm not sure of what's happening. But anything other than that, like just if you can stay with that. And I think that's one of the most uncomfortable things, and maybe that's why we put judgment on top of it, because that space, if you stay in that space and allow silence, that's probably the most uncomfortable experience that human beings have. But in that silence, the next experience comes up for you. And it does feel like allowing that amount of silence at the end, because there are people around you. It's not like you're alone in a room meditating. But in that silence, it feels like this bubble that's expanding. And on the edges, there's all this activity waiting to get in. It's waiting for you to allow that expansive space to reach a particular point where you can actually integrate it. And then the activity starts again. And when I say activity, I mean all the messages, the energy, the interaction, the impulse to do the next thing. But you might look a little bit mad.
And I was just thinking about that because I know for some people there is a real fear of falling back into spaces where they've been before, or fear of being trapped in spaces by other people. You know, like there is a real sense that, you know, if you lose it at work, you lose your job, and who's going to pay for the family's lunch, you know? Or, you know, there is a real sense of that. So I guess, you know, there's many things in there. And as we said, there's heaps of webinars. You know, you can tune into us every week and we will take you to another place. There's also that sense of taking some time for silence for yourself. Even if it is to just go and lock yourself in the toilet for an extra couple of minutes and sit in that room with yourself, or if that's the only space you have, or wherever it is you need to be to create a space for yourself where you can expand your world. And I know for some people to do that would mean a lot of things will come tumbling in. There won't be space for very long at all because there's stuff that needs to be handled. There's stuff you've put the lid on for a long time that will come up. So I think that sense of, you know, using all those resources at your disposal. If you don't have someone you can talk to, you know, it's wonderful to have someone you can talk to. And if it is going down the beach or wherever you live, finding someone in the street at the bus stop who you can have a chat with, there's also that possibility that when you do have that chat, you will be talking to someone from a different world, from a different planet, someone with a completely different message to yours or a completely different experience of life from yours. You know, whatever happens for you, there is a message in that. There is something in that for you. Don't leave yourself feeling, though, like you cannot hold it for yourself. Mel and I run sessions as well. You know, there's all kinds of places you can go to find a friend.
In Australia, there's also, if it gets to the point that you are in distress, there's Lifeline. Is it Sane?
I mean, there's a million.
Of,
I think it is just knowing that you can be open to that. There is support out there for you. And a lot of the time we do feel like we have to do it by ourselves, and that might be true. There might be a sense of you do need to pull back, you do need to find that space, but there's always someone there to ask for help, to just go, look, I just need to blab this out. Don't hold it to me, you know, but I just need to say, I just need to express. There is 5 Rhythms Dancing. There is the trampoline place down the road. I keep saying about the trampoline. There's this thing called Flip Out here, and they've got all these trampolines up the wall, and you can run and bounce and use up all your energy. If you're, you know, if that's where your emotions go, if they go into physical energy that you don't know what to do with, you know, or that you know you're doing things that aren't helpful for you with that physical energy, you know, if it comes out fighting or it comes out, you know, with random sex with people or whatever it comes out with, you know, like there are a lot of people who have that physical energy who just need to go and jump on a trampoline or find something, 5 Rhythms Dance, some kind of dancing. other people do need to go right into the zone where they just paint it out. They get it all down on colours, and, you know, their feelings are expressed into a work of art. And sometimes those work of arts, take it or leave it. You know, it's not something you're going to put up on your wall. Other times, you want them framed and you want to remember them forever.
I had a vision of someone baking.
Mm.
So I think for some people, the creativity is even more basic. It is, you know, making that elaborate meal or baking that amazing cake. And it may not even be for you. You may end up making a heap of cakes and taking it down to, you know, the local, what are they called? Kindergarten. You know, whatever it is, it just feels like you know what you want to do with that energy.
And if you get to the kindergarten, they go, sorry, we can't take baked goods, find someone else. You know, if you have a reaction to that, experience it. And don't throw them at them and abuse them or anything. But, you know, have whatever it is that comes up for you, it's perfectly perfect. Like, it really, there's something about that, like how to let yourself have the layers of reaction that you have.
And know somehow that self-awareness comes back to, well, what is my actual reaction? Because if any anger is really not about what someone else is doing or saying, there is a sense of, sometimes there's a sense of impotence. There's lots of other things that can go on. The anger is not from one derivative. But if you can get in touch with, yeah, I'm angry, there is, without pushing it onto the world and making the world wrong, what is my anger? Where is this? What am I actually angry about? Because it didn't come from nowhere. And that self-awareness won't necessarily dissipate the feeling, but it does allow it to, you know, like you watch those movies and they say, come into the light, when they're talking about the demons or whatever. That's what it feels like. It feels like when you say, what is my anger about? You can see it. You become self-aware. And it's less of a, I'm wrong, they're wrong. It's more of a, okay, I have full control, no control. It just, for me, it just feels like it shifts everything if I can say, like, where did this come from? Orphan cupcakes, eh? You knew.
Well, it's funny because I feel like people are having their biggest reaction to the littlest things, but their passions and their feelings are deeply rooted in the much bigger things. Like, it feels like there are so many people concerned about what's going on in the bigger picture of the world, whether it's dictatorships or child smuggling or environmental crisis, or, you know, the bigger things that we feel like we have no control over, or we feel quite impotent, unable to affect change the way we'd like to see it go. And then it is with the cupcakes that, you know, one little thing doesn't go the way, you know, you've had a great day, everything's going well, the cupcakes turned out perfect, they're in the patty pans you wanted, it's all looking beautiful, you decide you're going to give them to someone, and boom, something occurs, it stops going the way you wanted it to, and all your venom about everything else that's going on in the world gets, you know, slid out through that little cupcake incident. And, you know, the kids are left going, whoa, Mum. You know, like, everyone's left going, what just happened there? We were having a nice time, people, and I don't know what is, you know, and people really don't. I mean, you don't have any idea where the venoms come from, and other people don't either. And, I mean, I think that, you know, there's some conversation maybe next week in that too, because there is a sense of, then there are a lot of people who are out there fighting the good fight, you know, trying to change the systems and trying to change the things that are occurring in the way we live in this place. And they're channeling anger and blame and directly at politicians, companies, you know, particular individuals. And that also has a, you know, that's also a leaking of energy somewhere that's ineffective, or, you know, it's not creating more love. It's not enabling more understanding. It's not enabling us to come together somewhere. But it feels like that's all you can do. Like, it's like, at least I'm doing something. There's a sense of at least I'm going in there and trying to change the things that I would love to see changed. I don't want to tell my children in, you know, 7 generations, they don't want to remember me as the one who didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So I feel like that could be part of our conversation next week. And in the meantime, if you do have anything pressing that you want to talk about, me and Mel are doing our sessions. We can do them by Skype, or we have our Permission to Be Powerful course. As we said, there's plenty of other free stuff on the internet. This obviously is an opportunity to connect with us. And
I'm just thinking about heart energy. After all of that conversation, yeah, if you can just drop into your heart energy, just for now, to see where that takes you. And if you want to journal and comment, cry into the pillow, write a song, whatever helps you get into that heart energy.
And particularly for those people who, when Mel goes drop into your heart energy, there's just a constriction and a sense of it's a rock, or there's some other, you know, it doesn't feel like an opening. Give yourself permission to be there, to be with your closed heart, or however you want to explain that. But what is that rock like? What is it colour? What is it made of? What is its texture? You know, and it may take you to how long has that rock been there, which may lead you to something to journal about, or to call us up and have a session about, or to, you know, just listen to another webinar, find another thing, you know, whatever it is that comes up, type those words in and you'll find someone who's really keen into the areas where you haven't even noticed that your heart was shut down, but maybe it's a great opportunity to go into a new area for you. And let yourself be guided by your own knowing. If someone comes into your mind, you know, someone that feels like it's random, but you know they're connected, they've got something to, some part to play in your heart opening.
Some message for you.
And if it's to contact them, it may be to contact them. If it's just to express something to them, you know, video it into your phone, write it down, whatever it takes to let the emotion flow while you're expressing. And there may not be a need to do anything. It may just be in the acknowledging that it moves it, that the space in your heart is now filled with a different vibration, a different sensation. And it's a perfect opportunity to tune into what's right for you. You know, maybe to use a breath awareness meditation to move the feeling or feel the flow in your heart. It may be to use a mantra. It may be to focus on the picture of a saint or an angel or whatever it is that gives you inspiration. Whatever it takes, you will recognize what you're kicking to move into, because it feels like it will be part of your opening. Oh yeah, and if you like, go out and hug a tree. It's been scientifically proven this week that hugging trees is good for you. Yeah. Have a lovely week, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Oh, we'll be on the line for 20 minutes. If anyone wants to contact us, get us on the Creating Calm page under this. We'll see you later, alligators. Have fun.